What's good, everybody? It's the Cloud with Cab Show. The NFL playoffs are finally here. Wild card weekend. I cannot wait. Some big games coming up, but my lock pick all weekend is definitely the San Francisco 49ers over the Seattle Seahawks. And I understand some people are going with the upset. I just think, the past couple months, what I've seen from San Francisco is something crazy. They're on a 10-game win streak, and Brock Purdy is legit. He's got 13 touchdowns and 4 picks. He's 5-0 as a starter. That's crazy to me because he's the last pick of the 2022 NFL draft, and really, San Francisco took a chance on him. They really didn't even think they would need him. Now, all of a sudden, he's 5-0 as a starter. He's coming in this weekend, number 2 seed in the NFC, looking nice. I mean, we look at San Francisco's resume and realize, oh wow, they've won 10 games in a row. They have one of the most stacked rosters in the NFL. I mean, they got McCaffrey, they got George Kittle, they got Debo back. There's just so many assets in that they have where it's like, who's going to stop them? And I don't think Seattle's really going to stop them. Yes, Seattle's got, some playmakers on offense, but I think defensively, Seattle's in for a long, long game. So I'm going to go San Francisco. I would definitely take the 9 points. I think 10 points San Francisco's a little too much right now, but definitely 9. And if you think that's a little too iffy, definitely go money line for San Francisco. But I love San Francisco. I really think San Francisco, the way they've been playing, they can run it all the way. They can go to the Super Bowl, and yes, I believe in Brock Purdy. I think, with all the assets he has on that offense, it's like, what can he do wrong? I just think ever since they got McCaffrey from Carolina this year during the midseason in 2022 up leading to the new year, it was like, wow, they've been a different team really with McCaffrey. So shout out to the San Francisco 49ers. Seattle, yes, they got Geno Smith, 30 touchdowns this year, 11 picks, not too great. Kenneth Walker over 1,000 yards rushing with 9 touchdowns. He's been balling out. I picked him up in fantasy. He did great for me this year. DK Metcalf over 1,000 yards receiving with 6 touchdowns. Tyler Lockett over 1,000 yards receiving and 9 touchdowns. Seattle and San Francisco, they're so familiar with each other. But I just think, with San Francisco winning twice already against Seattle, they're going for a third sweep here. So it's like, I love San Francisco. I really do. Just the way they've been playing, dude. They're the hottest team in the NFL. And I think whoever plays San Francisco moving forward should really be like, oh crap, we're in for a long, long treat. We're in for a long, long game. And it's going to be a long, long season, dude. A long off season for Seattle. So, and Pete Carroll, hey, they made it to the playoffs now. Is there an outside chance that they could upset the San Francisco 49ers? Yes, there is. Pete Carroll's familiar with them. They play each other every year, whatever. But I just think at the end of the day, I'm going San Francisco. 42 is the over-under. I probably go with the over. I like the over, and I like San Francisco in this matchup. Definitely San Francisco money line, but I think San Francisco is going to blow them out, and it starts with Brock Purdy in that offense. They're going to take off. So shout out to the San Francisco 49ers. They're going to open it up with the W. And then we got the LA Chargers versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars have won 6 of the last 7. Pretty crazy, right, from what they started. But, with this team, a really young team, we got Justin Herbert on the Chargers and Trevor Lawrence on the Jags, where they're making their playoff debuts. They're young quarterbacks. They're fresh in the league. Right now, this is great. We got the LA Chargers right now, 1.5-point favorites. That line might change, but overall, this is going to be a battle game. It really is. I would lean a little bit more towards the Chargers just because they got better playmakers, I think. Mike Williams right now is questionable with a back injury, which is really devastating if the Chargers miss Mike Williams. I think Mike Williams is an X factor offensively as far as receiving goes. He's got 895 yards receiving this year and 4 touchdowns. Austin Eckler, 915 yards rushing and 13 touchdowns. I love that kid's story. Shout out to Austin, man. I mean, just grinded his way out, into the league, man. Really, they didn't really give him a lot of chances. So I like that. I like the Chargers right now, but the way the Jags have been playing in the past 2 months, ever since they played the Dallas Cowboys, and we saw what happened, and we saw Rashad Jenkins have that pick 6 on Dak to really return it, then, he makes a couple other big plays, later on in the season as well. I think Jenkins is definitely that X factor safety on defense for Jacksonville. I think he's going to really do some different coverages, try to throw Justin Herbert off a little bit, but, we got ETN, 1,125 yards rushing and 5 touchdowns for Jacksonville. I mean, a baller. And then we got Trevor Lawrence, 25 touchdowns and 8 picks. And we have seen Trevor Lawrence have some bad games as well. Miss some open throws where it's like, dude, Trevor Lawrence cannot miss these type of throws in playoff games. So this is definitely a learning experience for Trevor Lawrence. We know Trevor Lawrence is a champion in college, so he's used to winning. So that's one thing about Trevor Lawrence that I like is he comes from a winning background. He's a former champion in college. So right now, looking at Trevor Lawrence, it's like, dude, if he has a great game this game, I think Jacksonville can win this game. And I think it's all on Trevor Lawrence. The difference is when Trevor Lawrence and Jacksonville get down to the red zone, they got to score touchdowns. They cannot settle for field goals here, settle for just 3 points. That's not good enough. You can't be mediocre in the playoffs and go to the Super Bowl. You have to have everything go right. So I think that's the X factor for Jacksonville, scoring in the red zone. And then Christian Kirk, 1,108 yards receiving and 8 touchdowns. Definitely his favorite target offensively. They got Zay Jones. They got a lot of playmakers as well. I really think this Chargers-Jacksonville matchup is such a close coin flip to me. It really is. And I think if Mike Williams is out, I'm going to lean more towards the Jags. Just the way the Jags have been playing recently, dude, like, I'm telling you what, man, I'm going to do it. I hate to go against Justin Herbert and Austin Eckler and those guys, but, right now, I'm going with the underdog story here, so I'll go Jacksonville at home, even though they're the underdogs by 1.5. That line might end up changing. 47.5 is the over-under. That's tricky, man. That is super. The over-unders are so tough in the playoffs. I'd probably lean more towards the under, even though Trevor Lawrence and Justin Herbert love to throw the ball. They love to throw the ball down the field, but I would definitely give just a slight edge to the Chargers. I think they're more battle-tested right now. I think they have better playmakers. I think Justin Herbert and that offense flow a little bit better than Jacksonville and Trevor Lawrence, but, not to take anything away, I think Jacksonville defensively is just a little bit better right now, and that's why I'm going Jacksonville with the upset, and I think Trevor Lawrence, he's due for a big game. He's due to not miss some of these throws that he's been missing in the past month. I mean, there's some wide open throws where I'm just like, how, Trevor Lawrence? How are you going to miss that throw where it's just like, dude, he was wide open. We saw, a couple weeks ago, he missed a wide open receiver in the end zone. I think that might have been last week, but at the end of the day, Jacksonville's getting it done, and I like them with the upset, man. I can see this game being an overtime game in the playoffs. It's going to be great for the wild card, so I'm going to go Jacksonville barely in a freaking close one. I can't wait for this game. And then we got the Miami Dolphins versus the Buffalo Bills. This is probably another lock pick as well. Definitely, I like the Buffalo Bills. Even though the spread is 13.5, 2 is out for the Miami Dolphins. And that's why I'm going strictly Bucks. Bucks. The Bills. I'm going Bills here. Just looking at the Bills' resume right now, Josh Allen, they know what they're going now. Okay, they understand that they were preseason favorites this year. The Buffalo Bills are a lot talked about. Josh Allen, 35 touchdowns, 14 picks, 7 rushing touchdowns. In Josh Allen's career, he's only played 6 playoff games, okay? In that 6 playoff games, he's got 14 touchdowns and only 1 pick in the playoffs. So Josh Allen and the Bills are coming. They are coming hard and fast, and they want to go to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl ultimately. They do. And I think Buffalo Bills are legit. They got the tools. In Miami, like I said, I'm not betting on Miami. Now if Tua were to play, yes, I could see an upset alert game because this series in the regular season is tied 1-1. Okay, Miami took it, and then we had the Bills take it. But I think looking at Skylar Thompson, he's going to start. He's out of Kansas State. This is going to be a tough game for Skylar Thompson. Even though he could have a great game, first career playoff start, he's got 1 touchdown and 3 picks. Tyreek Hill, he's going to do what Tyreek Hill does. He's going to ball out. 1,710 yards receiving and 7 touchdowns, but I'm still going Bills. I'll go Bills in this matchup. I even like a 3-game parlay that I would definitely give you guys this play, but it's definitely going to involve San Francisco and the Buffalo Bills in this parlay. I think that those are my lock picks ultimately this weekend. Definitely a 2-game parlay there. But I just like Buffalo Bills, man. Stephon Diggs this year, 11 touchdowns, 1,429 yards receiving. He's been balling out as well. And then Devin Singletary, 819 yards rushing and 5 touchdowns. I think it's all Bills here. I think the Bills are going to blow Miami out of the water without Tua and really a banged up team, and I just think Teddy Bridgewater, he's banged up as well. So they're going to probably go Skylar Thompson, this rookie, but I'm going Buffalo, dude. I think Josh Allen's going to have a great game, and the Bills are going to come out fast and strong and really have a statement game here and say, hey, we should have been the number one seed in the AFC. Yes, we kind of, the dice didn't roll our way with the canceled game in Cincinnati, but at the end of the day, the Buffalo Bills will continue to roll, and I love the Buffalo Bills. I even like the 13.5. I think the Buffalo Bills are going to blow them out by 20 plus this game. That's how confident I am in Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. They're gonna win. Shout out to the Buffalo Bills. They advance. And then we got the New York Giants versus the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings are 3-point favorites. They're 1-0 this year in the season matched up, and we saw that game. And really, Minnesota only won by 3, and the Giants did not play well. A lot of the experts, a lot of the big whales, a lot of the money is being thrown on the New York Giants with the upset here. And I'm trying to think how. And it really starts with Daniel Jones. This year, he's really had a decent season. 15 touchdowns, 5 picks this year with 7 rushing touchdowns. Saquon Barkley, over 1,300 yards rushing and 10 touchdowns. I mean, obviously the Giants, if they want to win this game and upset the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota, they played them about a month ago, only lost by 3. It starts with the run game. Saquon has to run against Minnesota, and I think Minnesota's weakness is definitely their defense and their secondary. Are they going to be able to defend? Are they going to be able to stop the run? Are they going to be able to stop Saquon Barkley from breaking off a big run? That's the difference maker for Minnesota this year. And I'm looking at Kirk Cousins and saying, Kirk Cousins, this is really a legacy game for him. Is Kirk Cousins going to own up to it and be like, hey, this is the playoffs. This is when the big players make big plays here, and we're going to have to step up. If Kirk Cousins has a terrible game, I think they're going to release Kirk Cousins. No excuses for a 13-win Minnesota Vikings right now. You're playing at home. You're playing the Giants. You should not lose this game, dude. You guys have playmakers all across the board, including the best receiver in the league in Justin Jefferson, dude. 1,809 yards receiving and 8 touchdowns. 13 wins this year. And not to mention the run game with Dalvin Cook. 1,173 yards rushing and 8 touchdowns. I think Minnesota right now, a lot of the pressure is on Minnesota in a way, but it's like, dude, you guys need to win this game. You need to step up, and I understand some of the big money is being thrown on the Giants with the upset here, and I kind of see why, because the Giants have a great offensive line. They run the ball great, and Minnesota can't really stop the run that great. So I'm looking at it where it's like, all right, Kirk Cousins is single-handedly, that offense is going to have to win him this game, and Dalvin Cook. They're going to have to make big plays that we've seen down the stretch, and really Minnesota's had a crazy season this year. And won a lot of games only by under possession, under 6 points here, where it's like we saw them come back against the Colts, 33 points down. We saw them come back and win against the Giants. They've been battle-tested, okay? So for me, I got to go Minnesota here. I'll take the 3 points. Why am I going Minnesota? Is strictly because they've been battle-tested all season. They've been winning these close games all season. And I think this game right here, the Giants and Minnesota, is going to be a very close game. And it's going to come down to who's going to make the bigger play in the end. Who's going to make the big turnover? Who's going to make the big hit or the strip sack? Who's going to do these type of plays? Who's going to make the big field goal? And I think Minnesota right now, what we've seen all season long leading up to this point, to this wild card weekend, is that Minnesota can win big games in clutch situations. So that's why I'm going to go Minnesota. And I'm putting the pressure on Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins, you got to perform here. There's no excuse anymore. There's no excuse losing this game to really Giants who have been mediocre at times. Yes, have played great at times as well. And I saw the Giants play the Cowboys. They ended up losing that game, but they proved to me that they are battle-tested as well and will never give up. So, shout out to the Giants and Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. Darius Slayton, their star receiver, 724 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. I think he's going to get in the mix for the Giants. But overall, I'm going Minnesota. I'm going Vikings here. I think Minnesota, you got to win this game. There's no excuse here. You won 13 games this year and won a lot of games, coming back 33 down against the Colts. Dude, you have to win this game. You got to. So I'm going to go Minnesota at 3. 48 is the over-under. That's tricky. I probably lean more towards the under, even though I think Minnesota could score in the high 28s, even the 30s with Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins. But, I think this is going to be an interesting game. It's going to come down to the wire. But I really think the Minnesota Vikings win by like 4 or 5 points this game. I cannot wait. I'm going Minnesota with the 3 over the New York Giants and going with the under. And then we got the Baltimore Ravens versus the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are 9.5-point favorites. This this one, to me, I got to go Bengals here. I got to go Bengals. We do know that the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson, he is out with that knee injury. It was really a worse knee injury than what they thought. I just think looking at Lamar right now, he's on his last year of his rookie contract. He could go to another team. And I think Lamar Jackson right now, I think the way the Baltimore Ravens have handled certain situations, it's like I feel like they've surrounded the whole organization around Lamar. So I think Lamar should stay there and really talk to John Harbaugh, a championship coach, and say, look, I need better receivers around me. I need better offensive line. Just hook me up with some star players. That's what Lamar Jackson should tell Coach Harbaugh. And say, I need better players around me. But right now, the Ravens, they're either going to go Tyler Huntley or Anthony Brown, leaning more towards probably Anthony Brown right now. But I just don't see the Ravens winning in Cincinnati again. I mean, they played them last week. Yes, it could be a close game. But without Lamar, I don't give the Ravens a chance. Now if Lamar was playing, I would definitely give, the Ravens a shot, but I just don't see it. J.K. Dobbins, 520 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns for the Ravens. Mark Andrews, 847 yards receiving and 5 touchdowns. But overall, looking at the Baltimore Ravens without Lamar, it's going to be a long shot to beat Cincinnati in Cincinnati. We look at Cincinnati right now. They started the season 0-2. They ended it 12-4, dude. I mean, what a season, dude. I mean, 8-game winning streak for the Cincinnati Bengals. And that starts with Joe Burrow. I mean, Joe Burrow, one of the most in the pocket, so calm, dude, so cool. 35 touchdowns, 12 picks this year. Joe Mixon, 814 yards rushing and 7 touchdowns. And then we got Joe Burrow's favorite target, Jamar Chase, over 1,000 yards receiving and 9 touchdowns. T. Higgins over 1,000 yards receiving and 7 touchdowns. I'm telling you what, the Bengals right now, you don't think that they remember what happened last year in the Super Bowl against the Rams, where they did have some opportunities to come back in this game and really go ahead and win the game and win the Super Bowl. And we saw Joe Burrow get sacked by Aaron Donald to lose it. But I think right now the Bengals remember all this, and they're realizing, look, we're in a good spot right now. We're playing the banged-up Ravens without Lamar. There's no excuse. Even if we play our B or C game, we're still going to squeak out a win here. So at the end of the day, the Cincinnati Bengals will move on, and it's going to start with Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, if he plays great, which I do think he will this postseason, we could really see the Cincinnati Bengals back in the Super Bowl, right? Back-to-back years. Sounds pretty nuts, right? To even say, hey, the Cincinnati Bengals back in the Super Bowl with Joe Burrow? Really, dude? Really? But it's possible. I'm telling you what, it is very possible. 40.5 is the over-under. I probably lean more towards the under, but I definitely like the Bengals. I'll even take the 9.5 right now. The Bengals are rolling, and they can put up some big points as well. So, shout out to Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. They will move on and have a shot to go back to the Super Bowl this year, just like they did last year. I cannot wait. Shout out to the Cincinnati Bengals. They will definitely beat the Baltimore Ravens without Lamar Jackson. And then we got the best game all weekend, I think, the Monday Night Football game. The Dallas Cowboys versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Cowboys are 2.5-point favorites. Look, for the Dallas Cowboys, is it going to be the same story? Is it going to be the same story year in and year out? I mean, we saw what happened last year. They played at home against the San Francisco 49ers and lost it. Just so much is going on since Dak Prescott got to Dallas, right? We look at Dallas and say, since Dak, they've only won one postseason game. And that was a wild card game, and that was against Seattle and Russell Wilson back in 2018. Ever since then, Dak Prescott has not won a playoff game. Only one, dude. Only one playoff game ever since he's been in Dallas. And I'm looking at Dallas and saying, dude, this is not a good look right now. Yes, Dak Prescott threw for 23 touchdowns, but he also threw for 15 picks, dude. League tying in interceptions right now. I mean, dude, it's not looking good for Dak. I just feel like the confidence right now for Dak Prescott has gone down a little bit, and I think the pressure's starting to amount on him. I'm looking at Dak and saying, dude, I do have a big question mark with Dak Prescott right now. Now, as far as the Dallas Cowboys roster and their team, they're great. They have so much talent, offense and defense. I mean, we look at their offense, duo running back. We got Zeke, 12 touchdowns this year, 876 yards rushing. Tony Pollard, over 1,000 yards rushing and 9 touchdowns. And then their star receiver, CeeDee Lamb, who I think is an X factor offensively against Tampa, 1,359 yards receiving and 9 touchdowns. You got Dalton Schultz with 5 touchdowns, 577 yards receiving. I mean, there's so much for Dallas on the line here, dude. Dallas Cowboys haven't won a road playoff game since 1992. The year I was born is when they won a playoff game on the road. Like, that, it's ever been since 92. Like, that is crazy to me, dude. Like, that is crazy. I think if Mike McCarthy and the Cowboys lose this game, I think that he should be fired. Mike McCarthy should be fired from the Cowboys organization. I'm looking at Jerry Jones and saying, what's going on? Are you going to keep Dak for the next 10 years here? Or the next 5 to 10 years? Like, do you believe in Dak? With one playoff victory in the playoffs, I'm looking at Dak Prescott saying he's got to step up here. There's no reason for you guys to lose to Tampa Bay. He was 8-9 this year, below 500, really looked terrible most of the time. And we look at Tampa right now and say, well, wait a minute. They got Tom Brady. They do have the GOAT. Tom Brady has 7 Super Bowls, was 5 Super Bowl MVPs. Like, what's even more crazy is Tom Brady is 7-0 against the Dallas Cowboys. 7-0. 7-0, 2-0 in Tampa against the Cowboys. I just think, dude, this is crazy, man. Tom Brady has 35 playoff victories, most of any quarterback. I just think right now, Tampa Bay, this would definitely be a steal game if they win. Now, do I doubt Tampa a little bit? I do doubt Tampa because I've watched Tampa a lot this year and really inconsistent on offense. You know, we'll even have some of the receivers and really their tight ends will drop open passes and just being off flow. I think the X factor is definitely Mike Evans. Mike Evans and Tom Brady, if they're on the same page, they definitely have a shot here. They can put up points, and we saw in Week 17 they put up 35+. I think Mike Evans, 1,124 yards receiving and 6 touchdowns, and not to mention Chris Godwin, over 1,000 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns. They do have a duo back with Rachaad White with 1 touchdown this year, and playoff Lenny Fournette, 668 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. I think Tampa Bay, they definitely had the recipe to beat Dallas. They already beat them this year in Week 1 in a close one. I'm looking at Dallas right now and say there's a huge question mark on Dallas. It's going to be the same story that we've seen over and over again, year after year. It's the same, dude. They make it to the playoffs. They have a great regular season. Dak puts up some good numbers, and then all of a sudden they lose in the playoffs. They've won 1 playoff game, Dak. I want to see Dallas win, but I wouldn't even be surprised if they lose. Just looking at the history of the Dallas Cowboys, they've come up short year in and year out. Now, who has the better team? Definitely the Dallas Cowboys. They have the better team overall, and this year they've played better than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I just think, looking at Dallas, all the pressure's on Dallas right now because we look at Tampa and say they're not even supposed to be in the playoffs. They had the worst division in the NFL this year. That's the only reason they're in. And right now, we look at Tom Brady and the GOAT, and they're saying, wow, dude, right now, technically, everybody's 0-0. All the numbers go out the window. This is playoff football. The playoff football changes. Defense is starting to tighten up. Hits starting to become harder. You can start to feel pressure. The receivers feel pressure. They just so much goes with the playoff football. It's just different. It's completely different than regular season. So I could even see Tampa Bay hitting that light switch and saying, you know what, hey, this is Tom Brady on the go. Let's hit the light switch. Let's beat Dallas in our home field in Tampa. Even though we're 8-9 overall, there's no excuse for the Cowboys here. Now, who am I going to pick? Who am I going to throw money on? It's tough, dude. I think this is the toughest game all weekend. I really do. It's so tough because it's like, well, which Dallas Cowboys team is going to come out? It's going to be the Dallas Cowboys that we saw this year that was dominating, where Dak was hitting all the right checkdowns, was throwing the ball down the field great, not throwing in double, triple coverage here? Or is it going to be the Dallas Cowboys where they make mental mistakes, false start mistakes, off the line of scrimmage? So much goes with it. I just looking at Dallas and say, hey, you guys are the better team. Therefore, I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys, which sounds pretty crazy in Tampa to bet against the GOAT, 100%. I'm looking at Tampa and saying they just don't have the better team. Their defense isn't as strong as when they won it in 2020. I don't see it right now. I just don't see it now. I'm not going to be surprised if Tampa wins with the GOAT and Tom Brady, but right now I'm betting on the better team, and that's the Dallas Cowboys. And I think Dak Prescott, all the pressure's on him right now, and say, hey, you got to win this game. You got to go into Tampa and beat the GOAT right now. Retire the GOAT. Tom Brady has 7 Super Bowl championships, dude. Like, Tom Brady ain't going to be hurt if he loses this game. You think Tom Brady, yes, he might care the moment or care for a month, but long-term, Tom Brady's not going to give a F about this game, dude. He's got 7 Super Bowls with 5 MVPs. Dude, he's the GOAT. Regardless of this situation, what happens on Monday night, even if they win or lose for Tom Brady, he's still a winner. He's still the GOAT. So nothing's going to change. So a lot of the pressure is on Dallas. Even though I'm still going Dallas, it's pretty crazy, right? But for Dak, you got to win this game, dude. You guys are the better team. You guys had the better players. Like, this is definitely one of them games, but I'm not going to be surprised if I'm wrong on this pick. I'm not going to be mad because it's the GOAT and Tom Brady and what they can do. I mean, Chris Godwin, they have so many key players on this game. Julio Jones, which I think is questionable. I do think he'll play, but I just think right now I'm going Cowboys at 2.5. I really am. This is going to be a tough game. Absolutely. It's going to be crazy, but it's the NFL, boys and girls. It's the playoffs. I love it. But my three-team lock pick, my three-team parlay is the Cincinnati Bengals over the Baltimore Ravens, the Buffalo Bills over the Miami Dolphins, and the San Francisco 49ers over the Seattle Seahawks. That is a three-game parlay that you guys should throw millions of dollars on and run up a bag this weekend, boys. And let's go. It's the Cloud with Cam Show. Woo!